right, everybody, welcome back today. Super excited to have my good friend Dave Richter here. Dave, you're one of the first people, like, I've got your name down. Normally, like, the joke is at the beginning of these things, I get like Vlad Videf or, somebody on whose name I continuously screw up. But super excited to have David here. He is an investor, a podcast host, speaker. We speak at a lot of the same events, but really cool, like best-selling author for his book Profit First. So very excited to have David on here today and kind of tell us a little bit about like his journey. And I don't want to spoil it, but Dave, let's jump right in. Like, how'd you get started in real estate?
Rich Dad Poor Dad in college. So someone gave me that book, and
Yeah.
yeah, that was it. That was
Isn't
game
it
over.
like the most cliche thing ever? Like
Yeah,
you want to say it like it's cool, but like everybody's like, yeah, man, rich dad, poor dad. We all got
right.
started.
Exactly. So yeah, that's how I had a good friend, and he gave me that book, and that's where I was even working in like a factory job at that point, and had a lot of downtime to read. And I read that book, and then went out with a realtor and found my first house. I was like,
Really?
I'm not gonna just read it. I want to go do it. This
Yeah.
is back in 2012 too, so the houses were everywhere at
Yeah.
that point. So
Mhm.
found one right off the MLS, and fixed it up and did all that. That was my first taste into it, because like that was an awesome deal. We got it, for 30 cents on the dollar, fixed it
Yeah.
up. I lived in it for a little bit. We rented it out. I lease optioned it at one point and then got
Yeah.
cashed out too. So did a lot of things with that first property, and that's how I got the taste. And then I got into a real estate company too that was
Mhm.
doing about 5 deals a month, and we scaled it to about 25. So that's where I really
Yeah.
cut my teeth
Yeah.
on lots of deals and deal flow. So that's kind of how I got eased into the real estate world.
Yeah. So how cool is it that you got that at such a young age?
Yes.
And you are young. I mean, even with the beard, you're a young guy, especially compared to me. But I didn't find it until I was in my 30s before I ever, and I was just at the airport killing some time and picked it up at a bookstore. And, very similar. I got to the end and he said, join a local real estate group. So that's the route that I took. But no, fantastic for just taking action. And that's one of the things that we see. You're like me, we're at all these different events where a lot of people talk about doing real estate and think they want to do real estate, but they just don't ever, bite
Right.
the bullet and, pull the
Yeah.
trigger or do whatever it's going to take to go out there and do some stuff. Um, so how, you were working like a factory job, doing school, like how long was it from like when you started, read the book until like, you were like, okay, I can do this full time. Like, what was that transition like?
So when I first got into real estate, I was I was very young. I was like
Yeah.
21.
Oh
And
my
when I
God.
did that first deal, and I was said, like he does say, get it to a real estate group, but I found a real estate company. And
Yeah.
I think I worked like nights, weekends, just like whatever I could do to help there, worked for free basically for like 8 months. And
Yeah.
then took the leap from, the factory job into being a W-2 employee there, but
Yeah.
then worked my way up and was like on the leadership team at
Mhm.
that company. And that's where I was there for 5 years, did about 800 deals with that company while we
Wow.
were there. So I got to see a lot, and I
Yeah.
got to see a lot of different types of exit strategies. But
Mhm.
it was about probably 8 months to a year from when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad to when I stopped the factory job and jumped full time into the real estate world. And
Yeah.
then that company also helped me buy a couple of my first deals too. Like
Really?
I was able to, they wholesaled it to me, and then I buy, it was buy and hold for me.
Mhm.
So they made their money, and then I was able to buy and hold it, and that was really cool too. So it's like I got some hand holding in my early 20s with some of my first deals, but then I was also working for them, so also providing value back there into, the big machine that was going on.
Yeah. So, and they were just doing just basic wholesale stuff, or what
Lots
were
of
they
stuff.
doing?
Wholesale, there was fix and flip, there was turnkey, lease options, there was
Wow.
rentals. Like we had a lot of exit strategies going on in the
Mhm.
real estate world. So that's why I say, like, I cut my teeth, but I got a lot of different experience with a lot of different types of, like I said, exit strategies and different ways we were buying, because we bought from a bunch of different sources back
Really?
then. HUD Home Store, we were doing
Oh,
the
yeah.
auctions,
Yeah.
sheriff sales. We started direct to seller back then too, because
Uh-huh.
like it transitioned at one point from where you could just pick it off the MLS or the HUD home store to where you actually had to do that. So I also got to see a lot of different acquisitions, models as well too while I was there. It was, like I said, a really good experience up
Yeah,
front.
what an amazing place to kinda cut your
Yeah.
teeth.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
I love what you said where you basically worked there for free nights and weekends. And, I think the the gold nugget there, or whatever, the value there is
Yeah.
that you were willing to go out and give value to somebody else in exchange for education, right?
Yeah,
'Cause,
exactly.
yeah, that happens so much where people are like, well, you should just teach me for free because you know stuff. Like, no, you should, come provide some value, and there's some exchange of, whatever you've got to offer for that knowledge. So
Yeah,
that's fantastic. So
100.
you did that. How long ago did that end?
Oh man, I think 2017. So
Okay.
about 7 years ago, where I moved from the where we were up in Northwest Indiana. That's where I was living outside Chicago to
Yeah.
the Richmond, Virginia area.
Hmm.
But while I was there at that company was when my eyes were open to a lot of what I was doing today. It was the first domino
Yeah.
that catapulted into what I'm doing now,
Hmm.
where we were doing lots of deals, like 25 deals a month at our highest point, but spending about 26 worth of deals out the door.
Oh
So
my
it's like
gosh.
make a million, spend 1.1 to get there.
Hmm.
It's like that was not sustainable. And one of the last seats I sat in was the finance seat
Uh-huh.
there in 2017. And I learned how to read a profit and loss, a balance sheet, like all that type of stuff that I had no background in whatsoever before that. And
Hmm.
that just really opened my eyes to the financial end, and then
Hmm.
going to mastermind events and real estate masterminds and stuff. And we weren't the only ones making money but feeling broke. So
Yeah.
kind of what opened my eyes. And needless to say, one of the reasons I moved was that company, kind of blew apart. Like we
Oh
had to,
really?
like we couldn't all stay there. And several other A players started their own thing, and real estate companies. And it was like it was amicable, but it was
Mhm.
kind of like this could have been avoidable if we would have had good financial systems in place. So that's
Okay.
really one of the why my big rallying cry of what I'm doing today. But moved to the Richmond, Virginia area about the 2017-18 mark.
Yeah. Sorry. So that was kind of was that what led into to starting Simple CFO?
I worked with a guy there, Rich Lennon, in the Richmond, Virginia area, and he was a great mentor of mine. We partnered on deals. First thing I asked him, because now I was knowledgeable about what really mattered in business, like show me your numbers.
Uh-huh.
And like his numbers were a mess just because he had the wrong bookkeepers in place, people that didn't know real estate, didn't know the real estate investing world.
Yeah.
So that's where helped him just get clarity. What was he making, spending, and keeping? Just very simple stuff like that. And he said to me one day after it was cleaned up over a couple months there, he said,
Hmm.
"This has been life changing. Just knowing where this stuff is, what's mine, what's not mine, like where did all my cash go?" Just very simple things that I was showing him. I'm like, okay, I can do this. I can help other people. And that was the start of Simple CFO.
Yeah.
And much to Rich's chagrin. So I opened that up, and he, was my first client too. He was the very
Yeah.
first client, Simple CFO. And at that point, I did, when I was first thinking about opening the business, hadn't read the book Profit First by Mike Michalowicz.
Hmm.
So a good mentor of mine called me and said, "I heard the business you're starting. You should read this book, Profit First." And that's how I
Yeah.
got introduced to that book.
Hmm.
Um, up front. And that's really the catalyst for starting Simple CFO.
Now, what did you go to school for? What were you
Teaching, secondary
teaching?
education. Yes, to a
Okay.
private Christian college where my educational degree wouldn't have mattered a hill of beans most places. So
Mhm.
it's very interesting when people ask me that. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
I do more
'Cause
teaching now than if I probably
yeah.
would have gone into the actual teaching profession.
Well, I was thinking like accounting, right? Like, what would make you think accounting would be the path you want to go
You
down?
would think that
Right.
people, yes, I get that a lot because number one, I look like I should have gone to an accounting like type class or college or something. But
Yeah.
number two, with what I'm doing today, and I tell people, no, my background is strictly being a real estate investor, being an
Okay.
entrepreneur, starting this business, and really just wanting to give people and the
Mhm.
entrepreneur space like a fighting chance to
Yeah.
keep more of what they're making. Because I know I've went through that pain of
Mhm.
doing lots of deals, but like, where did all that money go? And
True.
that's where I've seen over the years it doesn't matter how big or small you are. Like if
Yeah.
you're doing one deal or
Mhm.
like 1,000 deals, it's
Yeah.
like we all have some bad habits when it comes to our money, or we
Oh,
don't know
yeah,
where it
we don't
goes.
even have habits, and
We don't even have habits.
I've told you this before, like, I am the freaking poster child for this, like, as
Right.
somebody who can generate a lot of money and
Yeah.
really great at some things, like, the bane of my existence since I started this in 2002 has been bookkeeping and accounting.
Yeah.
Like, I'm literally the guy who would show up with a shoebox full of a third of the receipts that I should have for the year, running things, on
Yeah.
mismatched credit cards and all of that, and it really just stunted the growth of my businesses,
Yeah.
especially since I went full time in 2009. It's funny, like and I feel like most investors are like me. Like we're terrible at paperwork, right? The same reason Easy REI exists because we get that
Yeah.
investors are terrible at their paperwork. But I actually went to college in UMass. I graduated with a degree in criminal justice, but the my initial thing when I got into college, my dad knew the dean and he got me in a 5-year MBA program. So David, I go in first year and I'm in this accounting class with like 350 people. And dude, they are talking about debits and credits and you know, like I get it now, but at 18, 17, my head was spinning.
Oh
Like this
yeah.
doesn't even make sense. The only reason I passed that class is because I got put into this group project and I was the guy who typed it up and made pretty pictures.
Nice.
Other than that, there is zero chance that I think I still got a C minus, right? Zero chance that I would have
Yeah.
passed that class. I mean, just absolutely terrible at that things, and it certainly carried over. So that's and I know we'll talk more about Simple CFO, but that's one of the reasons I just absolutely love what you're doing because my God, if I'd have found it 10 years ago, I can't even
Right.
imagine where my company would have been. And I get it; it's not sexy, it's
Yeah.
not cool, it's not PPC marketing or cold calling or these things that you think is going to move the needle so much, but having good financials, dude, it's so important, right?
Yeah.
It's man, you know, I can't
That's
I can't overstate how important it is.
And that's why I think I have a leg up when it comes to the financial area because I don't have a background in finances. It's
Really?
like
Yeah,
because I can now speak to a business owner and I know what you really need. Like
yeah,
I don't even when we work with someone, yes, we want their books in order and that, but that's not even the first thing we focus on. We focus on cash. Where's your
yeah,
cash? Setting up profit first and like because that part is the sexy part to them once they get it. It's
yeah.
like if I'm going to make the money, I need to keep it and I need a good system for this because even if I show up with a shoebox full of receipts, I'm still managing my cash during the year. So
Right.
it's like trying to give them a leg up of what really matters first. And then
Hmm.
we do have to get that stuff in order. Like, yes, it is important, but we need to make sure that you don't run out of money, even though you might be profitable on your profit and loss and showing there. But like, where'd all the cash go if you're rehabbing?
Right.
It's like stuff like that too. So trying to make it a little sexier just by telling people, like, here's what you really need and
Yeah.
what will help you and what you as a business owner, if you're allergic to spreadsheets, what you
Yeah.
can do with your cash and getting
Hmm.
them a good system there. So I think
Hmm.
that's really given me a leg up too,
Yeah.
because people are always very confused and very like, what? You don't have a background? It's like, nope. I've
Yeah.
got 30
I'll just
CFOs.
assume that you did,
Right?
right?
Yeah. Everyone does. And I tell them, nope, I definitely look like it, but I have 30 CFOs on the team that have their
Yeah.
MBAs and CPA degrees and, like all their and all
Yeah.
that background in the finances. I
Yeah.
just like m- providing solutions that people really need. And I saw
Yeah.
this in the marketplace because so many people are like us, where it's just like you said, I wish this would have been around 10 years ago, or I would have found this so that way I could have had that leg up and would have had a better back end system.
Yeah. What when you start working with a new client, what's that first aha
Yeah.
moment that they have where they're like, "Oh my God, I wish I'd have done this. What was I thinking? Why was I so resistant to this?"
Yeah. Or of why is this not taught everywhere? It's like
Exactly,
that's what we
right?
hear too. And it is profit first. That's one of we call it laying the financial foundation. The first 60 days when we work with a client, we call it laying the financial foundation. Number one is making sure you know where your cash is going. So
Mhm.
profit first. And like if you've never paid yourself, like we're gonna get you paying yourself, we're gonna get you the visibility of where your cash is going and being intentional with every dollar. Because that's what business owners understand. They understand cash and like, even if they don't know where it's going, they understand that they need it, that it's the lifeblood of the business. So we give them that system. That's usually a big aha moment up front. Another
Mhm.
one is like, is also helping them remove the headache of bookkeeping management because so
Yeah,
many people have headaches with their bookkeeper but they don't know how to manage them if they're doing it right.
right.
Usually they figure out it's done wrong when they go to tax time and a CPA says this is a mess.
Yeah,
It's like we make sure that they have the right one in place and they're actually doing it correctly so tax time isn't a struggle.
yeah,
Another thing we implement too is a dashboard up front, which really gives them another aha moment because like all the stuff like bookkeeping and CPA and tax work
mhm,
is all from the past data. But like
right,
we need to know and install a GPS, like where are we going? And that's where we have those conversations. What's important to you? What do you want to do with the business? And
yeah,
then making sure their finances are built around those actual goals and they're getting there. So it's a lot of more forward facing than rear view
nice.
mirror.
I love that. So, and I've been down that road of multiple accountants and
Yeah.
bookkeepers over the years, A bookkeeper. I thought I was so smart, and I'm going to hire this girl for $15 an hour. She's going to come in and do my books, and she stole every drop of cash that a tenant ever dropped off, and
Oh, wow.
just so many issues over the years. But yeah, I mean, having an accountant and a bookkeeper, or an accountant and a bookkeeper, yeah, who are just fighting with each other half the time, and I'm getting on Zooms telling everybody to just calm down. We just got to get through this. So yeah, I've had all those struggles. No, but when I hire, well, explain to me a little bit about, into the audience, what a fractional CFO is.
Yeah. What it is to me, it's really like if I had to explain it in terms of a hospital, where the hospital is the IRS, you've got the
Yeah,
bookkeeper who's the nurse, and
yeah,
you've got because they check on you every day, they make sure everything's up to date, your chart's up to date. But then
yeah.
you've got like the tax person who's more of like they're in their own separate wing, and they're
Hmm.
like, the surgeon. They're gonna cut
Hmm.
your arm off and tell you like
Yeah.
what you owe the IRS. Where like that's where you've got a CFO. They're a private doctor. They don't work
Hmm.
for the hospital. They work for you
Right.
directly and say, making sure you're healthy overall. Like, is
Hmm.
this a lifestyle change that needs to happen? Or like what do we need to do in order to make you healthy? So the CFO is more of a financial leader where, like you were saying, instead of you refereeing that
Yeah.
bookkeeper CPA, the CFO should be refereeing them and
Yeah.
reporting to you of like, hey, we got to fire this bookkeeper because they suck. And like
Yeah.
this is the recommendation. Are you good with that? Yes, good. I'm going to tell them and I'm going to go get you another one. So
Wow.
it's like that's the CFO is a financial leader on the team to do
Mm.
that portion, but they're also a financial coach because a lot of people don't even have finance 101 as a business owner. And if you're a
Yeah.
business owner, there are certain categories of the business, right? Marketing, sales, operations,
Mhm.
finance, and you need to know enough of each of those areas to be savvy. And a lot of people are lacking in the financial business area. So it's like that
Mhm.
CFO also acts like a leader and a coach to make
Yeah.
sure the owner knows what they need to. So that way
Mhm.
they know if their business is healthy or not.
Wow. Yes. It's amazing that, and you probably deal with, people like me, like relatively successful people that are just so unknowledgeable when it comes to these things.
Oh yeah, we go to the same masterminds and
Yeah.
stuff, and we work with a lot of the same people there, and like family mastermind, like things like that, and like a lot of people come to us. Doesn't matter. I now know I don't care how successful you are. If
Yeah.
you have never had a background in this or never had someone hold your hand
Yeah.
from an actual financial leadership level, you're probably struggling with the
Sure.
paying yourself, the managing of the whole financial department,
Yeah.
and it gets worse the bigger you get. Like
Hmm.
I was at one of those events recently, and
Hmm.
they're like, "I bet we're the worst case scenario you've seen, because of this stuff." And I'm like, "You know what? You're telling me all this, and no, like, even though it's bad, and like, yes, I wish we could have, but like, I hear this stuff all the time." And
Yeah.
so it's like we work with people that are above a million, below a million, and I
Yeah.
it really the bigger you are, the more you either don't have habits like you said, or you have
Yeah.
bad habits when it
Right.
comes to the money. So we're trying to unpeel that onion for you to be like, okay, and here's the good habits that we need to make sure you're moving forward. So
Yeah.
I see it all the time from
And it's got to
everyone.
be fascinating because you're dealing with people who are the best of the best. You know what I mean? Like literally, like
Yes,
the most
literally.
successful type people, but yet like such banana heads. And I was talking to my partner who runs our title company today. And we were talking about attorneys and how you expect these attorneys to have their act together, and they're like
Yeah,
no better than anybody else. Like they're the thing that you're really great at, but you're terrible at all the other things, right?
yeah,
And that's probably
100%.
what you see with your clients. They're great at that one thing, but just horrendous, horrendous at the other stuff.
Which is funny too because I see it from different perspectives too. Because when someone works with us, if they don't have any background in it and they just, in building
Mm.
an actual business, then
Yeah,
yes, they're just like the pie maker, like in the what's that, the E Myth. It's
yeah,
like
yeah,
you're a great pie baker, but you're not a great pie business owner,
right.
and a lot of people are like that. But then even some people have an operating system in their business, like EOS, the book Traction,
Mhm,
or what,
mhm.
like all those out there, but they're
Yeah,
missing the financial component. So it's
right,
like they can know the value of systems, but they don't have a financial system in place
right.
too. And like you said, this is the best of the best, and they're great at making the money. They've helped a ton of people. They truly care, and
Yeah,
it's like you just need a good back end system and
yeah,
something simple that you use, consistently. And that's
right.
what we're trying to just help them be better business owners themselves
Yeah.
too.
The way I explain it to people when I first started out in 2009, there was this big hill behind my office that kids would sled down during the winter. And I would say, like, those old, like, red wagons, had the little handle. Like, picture me, like, in that wagon, arms and legs, we're just going down the hill. We're buying properties, we're selling properties, we're wholesaling, we're rehabbing, we're repairing. And it's just like a free for all for the first couple of years, and you're excited to be making money, and then you get to the bottom, and you're like, holy shit, like I have a real business. Like now, what do I do? Like now, because I mean, everybody hopes it's going to become this real thing,
Right.
but in the beginning, you don't like know, and then you're like, yeah, I can figure it out, and then because you know having your finances on day one when you have no money coming in isn't obviously isn't
Right.
a thing, but once you actually do build it, and then you're trying to pick up the pieces of just the
Right.
devastation that you've
Exactly.
laid waste to for a couple of years.
And that's why I like to tell people the sooner you can implement that. Like if you are
Mhm.
starting to make money, think of yourself like a business owner. Like
Yeah.
you need to, even if you've got any viability at all, like you've
Mhm.
gotten some deals in or whatever it is that you're doing, like you
Yeah.
need to have structure in place because like you want to treat yourself like a business owner when you're small. So when you get large, it doesn't become this unorganized mass chaos everywhere where you're like, oh shoot, now I've got to clean everything up.
Right, right. So, and that's, again, so as a business owner, now and in the past, I'm like, oh, I've got to get like someone to come into my business and do this. But my
Yeah.
God, I don't have $150,000 a year to
Right.
hire a CFO, right?
Yep.
Like that's crazy because maybe I don't have enough volume to keep them busy, or I don't want to put that much money into it. And
Right.
even though at the end of the day it would probably be money well spent, but now we have you. So
Right.
how does that
Exactly.
all work?
It's fractional, meaning part-time. So you
Yeah,
get a financial leader on your team, but like you said, most people, unless they're reaching that 10 million and above
mm,
mark in
yeah.
revenue, then they really don't need a full-time one because you could
10
spend
million a
anywhere
month.
from
10.
right, no, or 10 million a year.
Oh, okay.
So if you're
Whew.
at 10 million a year, you're getting close. I would
Yeah.
say the 10 to 20 million mark, depending on your business and margins,
Mhm,
that's when you start thinking about a full-time CFO. That's
mhm.
150 to 300K a year.
Wow.
But besides that, that's why I have Simple CFO because I wanted to bring to the market where before you get large, like you need to know this stuff and have a
Right,
fighting chance for it. So being able to have different, we have different tiers depending on if you're above a million, below a million, like, and we've got different meeting rhythms too. So depending on how much you use us or need us in the business, and that's where it's like we're just trying to be affordable for where you need, but also provide you actual financial leadership and
yeah,
very forward-facing things to give you more money in your pocket and know what's going on from the business and
yeah.
financial aspect.
And honestly, my guess is that most people are like me. You get to a certain level and you're like, okay, I need to be treated like a 5-year-old. Explain this to me in the very
Yes.
simplest of terms, and please protect me, protect
Yeah.
me from myself and,
Right.
from all the other people that are out there. Because like, I don't know, like I was at Investor Fuel Live in Dallas the other day.
Yeah.
I was talking to this girl and she's like, well, do you have an S Corp or a C Corp? I'm like, man, I really feel embarrassed that I can't tell you. And if you were to put $100 down on the table, I got a 50-50 shot of getting it right. But I don't know, man. You know what I do know? I'm great at talking to people and making deals.
Right.
That's what I know, which is pitiful and it's embarrassing. But I don't know that it's probably not uncommon with entrepreneurs.
I tell people why is such an unsexy topic resonated with so many people?
Yeah,
It's because so many people are ashamed and
sure.
embarrassed that they don't know where they and now I'm just talking about it. And it's
Yeah,
like, you know what? Honestly, everyone goes through that. Like I bet
mhm,
you once you start to make lots of money like you and like you're starting to roll and build an actual
yeah,
business,
yeah,
then it's like, okay, what do I have? Like I just like going out there making the deals. A
yeah.
lot of people haven't spent time on those different areas. It's like, yeah, that's
Mhm.
totally normal. And now, like you said, it's need to speak to you like here's business ownership language versus accountanese.
Yeah,
It's
don't
like
give me
here's
accountants. Yeah,
yeah, that's where it's like I need to make sure you know exactly what's going on
yeah,
and could be explained to it like that. That's why for our business, we boiled it down to make, spend, and keep. Do you know what's coming in? Do you know what's
mhm,
going out? And do you
yeah.
know what you're really keeping from the business? Because if you know those three numbers, you've got a better handle than like 90% of entrepreneurs out there.
Yeah, and so your CFOs, when I hire them, and I know we've been talking about this for a while, and I am
Yeah.
going to hire one, but like they can come in and look at your books and go, "Oh, here's what it all means." Like,
Exactly.
yeah,
That's where and we build a dash like I said up front, the 3 things we do. Financial
mhm,
foundation, make sure you have the
mhm,
right bookkeeper, system process person, and manage that department. We
yeah,
give you profit first and implement that with your team where you show up and say, "Okay, how much money is in my bank account?" So, like, so you know from that bank account level. And
yeah,
then third thing is that dashboard, which is where it takes all that gunk from
mhm,
QuickBooks and says, "Here's what you really need to see," and how
yeah,
you know, like, if you're on track or off track for what you're really trying to do with the business, because then the profit and the cash numbers don't lie. So that's
yeah.
why we put in that dashboard to make it very easy for the business owner to understand.
Yeah, and and I think and I'll certainly speak for me.
Yeah,
It's one, it's something you don't understand. Two, you're embarrassed that you don't understand it, and
right,
three, you're like, do I really want somebody to look under the hood and see what the real number is, right?
right,
Like, I might be depressed, or it might be great, like, but I don't know. But if I don't
right.
look, I don't have to know, and I don't have to think about it. And I've got business consultants and
Yeah,
different people that, and everybody's like, you got to have your net worth, you got to do all these things. They're like, yeah, 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 like I know I'm good, I got 80 something rental properties, like we're good, we have cash coming in. But yeah, I think the importance of having somebody that can give you like a real picture of what it actually looks like, and then
right.
just somebody that's smart enough to say, hey, if you twist this lever and move this switch up here, we can just drastically change the way that
Exactly.
things look like. Because I've been to a million different events, and accountants come up and they're like, we're going to do all this stuff for you, we're going to restructure your entities, we're going to, and dude, it is blown up. And like, we hired this one accounting firm from a mastermind I was in, and it was like the worst thing ever. It was like 2 years, like barely could get them on the phone, they were late, continue, I mean, they just never did any of the things that they promised. I mean,
This
it
is
was,
why I
I'll give
started.
you the name, but I'm sure you've heard of them. But I
Yeah,
mean, it was just horrendous, and just
yeah,
trying to, and again, it's not the thing I'm good at, and it's not the thing I want to do. I'd much rather pay somebody monthly to do it all for me. I
yeah.
think it's a brilliant business.
Yeah, that's why we have a business because accountants and bookkeepers suck so much usually at their job of
Yeah,
being proactive. Well,
uh,
that's why I say you get a CFO. This is a leader. This is
yeah,
someone that should be proactive with you. And you
mhm,
had mentioned because I hear that so much too from other people that I don't know if I want to know what's under the hood.
yeah,
And I tell people like if you're losing sleep at night at all around your business, it's usually because you don't have clarity
right,
around the numbers. It's
right,
not that you don't know you're losing money. It's like you don't know how much. And it's
right,
like if you are hurting and bleeding out, just putting a shirt over it is not going to stop you from bleeding out all the
yeah,
way and
yeah,
losing all your blood and
yeah,
losing your life. So it's like we have to get in there because if it's something hard and it's something that needs surgery, well
yeah,
then let's talk about that. But if it's something that needs just stitches and a band-aid or something, like then let's just do that and then we get to move forward. So
right.
it's like just giving people that clarity, but also trying to be empathetic with them too, because how many accountants and bookkeepers out there do you know that actually have a
Oh,
personality?
oh,
Like that's
bedside
hard,
manner of an assassin,
right?
dude.
Right?
Like, I know I've got a good accountant out of
Ah,
Atlanta, but like, I'm afraid to get on the phone with him. Like,
right. Yes.
because he just cuts you so deep, and so he's so straightforward. Like,
Yeah.
I literally dread getting on the phone with this guy, because I'm like, oh my god, I feel like an idiot when I'm
Right.
done being on the phone with him. So I
Yeah.
know he does a great job, and he's a great real estate accountant, but my god, I don't need to. I don't want to feel like a lesser of a person after I'm
Right.
done.
Exactly.
You know?
It's like there's so many issues with
Right. And
many
that's the
people.
hard part, for any investor just left to our own devices. Again, we're great at a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally like blindfolding, taking a shot, spinning around 3 times, and throwing a dart, trying to pick the right person.
Right.
Right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
how do you know if this person? Okay, great, I'm going to hire a CFO or some fractional CFO, but like, how do I know this person knows my business, right? Or
Right.
like knows real estate? Because I don't want the cotton textile guy dealing with my real estate. He's not going to understand stuff. So, by having somebody like you, who is literally the most trusted guy in all of real estate and real estate education, like, I know that if you pick this guy, he's going to be good, or
Right.
gal, right? Whoever it is. So I think that's, you know, just a huge kind of, feather in your company or in your hat, that, people know that when they go to, David Richter and Simple CFO, that the people that you have, that you've screened them, and, you've told them not to be mean to us. And that they're going to be people that can kind of get us back on track as quickly as possible.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I want to give. I want to give you someone who's proactive that and an interaction like you've never had with the
Yeah,
financial world before and someone that's really going to help you with what matters to
yeah.
you as the business owner.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Well, awesome, David. Thank you so much for coming on. I mean,
Yeah.
I always love chatting with you, because it's just something so different, but yet so important, that we never talk about. We never, it's certainly not out in public, right? These are those things that
Right.
people talk about in the corner, like, oh shit, I lost money last month, or oh, this
Right.
happened.
Yep.
But I think that, I know that the service that you provide at Simple CFO is so valuable, and I know a lot of clients. We have a lot of the same clients,
Yep.
how much it's been able to really help them. And, like you said, sleep better at night, knowing that, hey, my God, I'm on the right track, and I'm going in the right direction. And, whatever it is, the future that I want for my company, like, there's somebody helping me make the right decisions, because I know I'm too much of a banana head to be able to do those things on my own. So I have to have
Right.
somebody smarter than me.
Yeah. Well, me too. That's why I have a CFO in my business. Like I need it for myself because, like I said, I don't have the financial background. So thankfully, I have good people around me too.
Well, David, I think it's amazing what you do for real estate investors and for the community. And, as I've told you a million times, I think it's fantastic and invaluable. And, we'll put a link to David's company in the show notes, but I would encourage you to, at a minimum, click it and have that conversation with David and his team, because it will just get you on the right track before it's too late. Don't do like I did and be a full time investor for 15 years and then halfway through try to pick up the pieces because it gets very difficult and you make a lot of payments to the IRS. And I was on a payment plan once and it was terrible. So don't do those things. Get kind of get it all straight as soon as you can, even if you've only been doing this for a year or two. Get your finances in order so that you can do the things you want to do, because it's hard for us as self-employed entrepreneurs to go get loans and
Yeah.
mortgages and all of those types of things.
Yeah.
So
100%.
yeah. So David, any final words for everybody?
Just remember, it's a lot shorter of a gap than you think to getting
Yeah.
the financial knowledge and the financial system in place that will really help you keep more of what you're making and making profit a habit in your business.
Nice. Well, on that, David, thank you so much, man. It's always great to spend some time with you. Hopefully, I'll see you in Dallas in a couple weeks for Investor Fuel.
I'll be there.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. Go out there, get some contracts, get some deals. But in the meantime, book a call with David, and let's get your finances in order.